Quicksters, welcome to Quick Take. I'm your host, Susie, along with my favorite co-host, James. How are you, James?
I was hoping you'd say James. I thought there might be some other favorite super
Well,
excited to be
in
in
this
this
room at
room.
this
My
time.
favorite co-host on this particular podcast.
Well, I thought we'd talk about my favorite topic, and it's advocating for yourself, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. So I'm going to put you on the spot,
Oh
but
man, yeah, great topic.
one reason that I wanted to talk about it today is one of my clients was, we were talking about some opportunities internally that he was overlooked and he felt invisible. And what he described was some of his peers were asked to moderate a panel for a leadership conference that was internal. Other people have been kind of tapped on the shoulder, and he's like, "Why not me?"
Right,
And so when he went and asked about it, inquired about it, those people asked if they could do it. And he would have been given
picked as
the
well.
same opportunity. He
Sure.
just didn't advocate for yourself. And we often think advocating means I want more money, I want a position.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
advocating is so much broader than that. So what do you think?
Absolutely, and I think you nailed really a key element of this is this is this is a long term thing, right? You can't advocate for yourself today and expect outcome. This
Mhm.
is a long play. You've got to set the foundation, and it comes. Your opportunities are constant and always there, and they're random and sometimes big and sometimes small. So it is, you got to play the long game when it comes to this. And the things that I'll offer up as suggestions are part of that, where you've got to realize that if you have there to be a change in behavior in others, you can't expect that overnight. Just like you can't expect your behavior to change overnight. So if you want people to see you in a different way and you want to advocate for yourself strongly, you have to understand that it's a foundational. You have to build that foundation. You have to build that strategy, and you have to do it over the long term because it's not something you do on a Thursday.
And to that point, I love that idea of a daily investment
Mhm,
of
mhm.
yourself to in other people's eyes. And it doesn't need to be something that you want specifically,
Right, right,
but
right,
advocating for yourself can just be putting yourself out there so that you're seen in a broader way so that when those opportunities come up, you're
great,
thought of.
great tee up for my first suggestion. And
Okay,
and
good.
we joke about this all the time, which is your default should be yes, right? When asked
Yeah.
to do something, you want to say yes, I can do that, or are you interested? In yes. And so when people ask me if I'd like be interested in speaking, be interested in going somewhere, be interested in leading a group, be interested in part of a project or something, the default is always yes. And maybe parenthetically, it's I have no idea what that means. Parenthetically, what is that again? Where is that place? We have an office there? I had no idea. And those details will work themselves out. And so often we immediately default to working out those details in your head before you raise your hand. Look, and so often these opportunities are quick. They are through maybe there wasn't a lot of thought behind it, or it's an idea. Hey, would you be interested in doing this? If you give the immediate response of "Give me 2 weeks to consider it," that's not going
Mhm.
to really be a way to highlight yourself or really put yourself out there. So, number one, just try to make your default yes, and it'll change the way people think of you.
And I always quote you on this one because I think it is so powerful. And there's nuances to it. Just don't pause. Just say yes with
Mm-hmm.
confidence.
Yep.
And like you say, figure it out later. And you can be a part of figuring that out. It doesn't mean it's that person has a plan in their head, which we
Right.
believe they
Right.
do. So
You'd
you
like
can
to
help
think that.
them.
But so
Yeah.
often when I do that with folks or people on my team, it is literally me sitting in a room going, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this?" That's it. You witnessed the entire thought process. It was a whole like 2.5 seconds. And so now if that person goes, "Yeah, I'm interested in that," well, let's dialogue on that together. And we conclude, you know what, that's not good for you because you're in this time zone. Hey, but that's cool. But that dialogue allowed you to highlight yourself and be part of that discussion. But if you go through that in your head and go, "No, I'm in the wrong time zone," that's not partnership. That's not advocating for yourself.
Yes.
Default is yes.
Default to yes. Love it. All right. What's number two?
The second one is really tough, and it is the truly this episode was titled "The Art of Advocating for Yourself," and this one is an art form. It is really highlighting your accomplishments. And
Mhm.
but there's so much nuance to this, and the challenges of doing that in a way that is productive. Knowing when to do it, when not to do it, doing it on a cadence that makes sense, and not being overly repetitive. When you start to hear your peers or others finish that sentence. When I was at Comcast, yes, James, we know you were at Comcast,
Yes.
right? You're no longer advocating for yourself. You dug yourself a hole, and we all have people that we work with that are constantly dropping that reminder, constantly trying to highlight some sort of accomplishment they've had. Um, the reality is that does you no good, but you do need to find the time for you to say that in a way that is productive. For me, when I do it, I rarely ever highlight it by pointing to a company that I was with, right? Because and the reason you do that is that it somehow gives it some sort of value. When I was the CEO of this company, that was unnecessary. Your comment should be measured on its own merit. Your value should be measured on its own merit. If
Oh,
you
I
have to
love
tweak
that.
that,
Yeah.
refine it, then you've already lost value. You want
Yeah.
your idea to come forward, and the fact that it came out of your mouth should indicate that you have experience there. And if you say, "Hey, I've seen it work this way," somebody will go, "Where did that happen?" Well, when I was the CEO of this company.
Yeah.
Different way of handling it. So you want to be sure that you're advocating for yourself in a way that is allowing you to be seen as a problem solver and an idea person without it being somebody who's leaning on their laurels.
Yeah. That is so good, and I think you're right. It's an art, and we've
Mm,
seen people that don't do it well.
yeah.
They kinda lather it on too thick. But the other part of that is people don't live in our heads. They don't, even though your boss may know this is a strength of yours, reminding them
Yep.
is
Yep.
not a bad strategy, but you have so too not having enough is a problem too.
Right.
So it
Right.
is that
Right.
art form of when and how.
And I think one of the great ways to get good at something in general, and good at something like this, is watch others, learn from others. This is a
Yeah.
really great opportunity for you to not do what other people are doing. We all have that person who where the last three jobs are because you hear about it all the time, right? So watch them in a meeting, see when the eyes roll, see when they raise their hand and they mention something they've done before, how that doesn't land in your culture, in your office, in your team. Those are just good at learning opportunities. Take note. Don't say this. Those lessons are out there. They're right out there, and you see them daily. Take advantage.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, when you said that, 3 people flooded into my
I
head
know.
from years ago. I'm like, that bad example, bad example, bad example.
We all know.
Yes,
I mean, and it is. There's lots of reasons for it, and it's not always ridiculous, and they're not always Machiavellian. But at the end of the day, it's an art form, and we're all trying to art. We're all trying to get better at it, and so you can see the people struggle.
yes. Okay, that was good. Do you have a third? I
Yeah, I
hope
think the
so.
third one is. Pardon me.
I hope so, because
I
that's
have
your
I
shtick.
have 3. It's just hardwired. I can't, I always order 3 drinks. I always order 3 appetizers. It's hardwired. That's why this podcast is perfect for us. The third one really is, seek feedback. And when you seek feedback from others, you're really highlighting some of the accomplishments that you've had. And so it's really a way of creating a dialogue with your manager, with your leader. And so there's this again, maybe this is a corollary to the second one, which is by having that dialogue, you can highlight your experiences without being so braggy and saying, "Hey, how did I do here? Because when I've done this before, this is how it
Mm.
went." Or, "Hey, I'm presenter to the board tomorrow. When I presented to the board, last year or at my last company, everybody had to wear a tuxedo. Is that the case here?" And so that allows you to do that. Now, just parenthetically, again, if you are presenting to a board and you have to wear a tux, call me because I want to work there. That's cuckoo town. That's fun. But regardless, the fact is that by creating that dialogue and seeking feedback, you can do a great job of highlighting your skills.
I think that's really great, and, I guess maybe a dot 2 or dot 2 of that would be when you started going that way, I thought also listening to how you're perceived.
Hmm.
Like, if
Hmm.
somebody goes, "Well, we'll let Susie do the Excel spreadsheet," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I should not be the one." They have
Right.
categorized me as an
Great.
expert in this, and I'm like, I don't want to be the expert in that. It's a bad example, but it's the only one I could think of at the
No, but I
moment.
think you're right, and I think that'll I'll call that our fourth one, which is when you're advocating for yourself. It's really goes back to understanding the foundation that you're at. You know, there's nothing more frustrating than I see around our organization where you see the same people getting tagged to do certain things. You see
Mhm.
it's really kind of a trope on television and movies where you know the boomer boss will say to the young new executive, "Hey, honey, can you take notes in the meeting?" But the truth is that individuals get some sort of a
Yeah.
brand or an expectation, and so you can be asked for to be do certain things. And if you want to be seen as a presenter or a board member, and you're not, it's important to know where you're starting from. And so if you're going to advocate for yourself, you know it's important to understand the brand that you have out there so you can adjust.
Awesome. That was good. I love the bonus. So bring them all
Bring
back
it
for us.
home.
What
So
are the 3?
move your default to yes. You know, start with a good foot forward, and you can usually change the way people think of you and have people think of you first. Learn to really learn the art of highlighting your accomplishments. Find the ways to do it that are both additive and valuable. Build your brand without undermining your credibility. And then third, seek feedback. You know, engage with leadership, understand where your strengths are, and that's a great opportunity for you to highlight your experiences.
Mhm.
Then that bonus round, the number four was check where people are seeing you, understand how you're being perceived, to understand how you need to advocate for yourself. Maybe you need to highlight skills or capabilities that you wouldn't need to think you would. You would think again, like you said, we're not in their heads. Know that they see you in one way, so you can advocate for yourself in another.
Yeah, it was so good. I think so many missed opportunities around us
There really are.
that having some of these tactics at your disposal, or just that you're thinking of
Mhm.
it, you won't even realize you've advocated for yourself.
Absolutely. And the truth is that these opportunities come from a place of working with people who are struggling to solve problems.
Yeah.
Leaders, your peers, the executives, we're all trying to find good people to get things done. And if you're advocating for yourself, you're putting yourself out there, you can be part of the solution. And those are the people you want to work with, and those are the people that you want on your team. And so, you know, this is a real way for you to be a problem solver.
Yeah, you're helping them solve their problem. That was so good.
It's always a good way.
Way to bring it home and give us all the value.
There
You're
we
so
go.
good.
There we go. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're here. We continue to hear some great feedback, and we would love to continue that. Or if you haven't yet, reach out to James or myself. We're both on LinkedIn. We love to hear from you. We just love to know what's on your mind, because that's the whole core of why we're here. So this has been Quick Take. I'm Susie, along with my very good friend and favorite co host, James.
Yeah.
And until next time, we appreciate you.